So welcome to my presentation. Today I'm going to be talking about remote mode. Okay, so the overview of today's presentation. Okay, so a bit of background information. Where does Spooky come from? Going to talk about a bit about me, different types of treatments. So what are the best treatments? Then obviously going to be talking about Spooky2 Remote, how it works, what types of DNA to use. Going to be talking about the hardware connection, so how to actually connect the remote. We're then going to be talking about the software operation and programs to use. Also going to be talking about how to check if your remote is working. And then we're going to be discussing Spectrum Sweep versus remote and a little question and answer, but you're free. You're welcome to ask questions throughout and I'll try and answer them as we go. Okay, so a bit about me. So for those of you that didn't watch the previous lecture that I did, hi, I'm Lekita. I am a studying naturopath and a naturopathic nutritionist. I'm now in my third year. And upon completion of that, I will then go on to do my master's in herbal medicine. I am a qualified Reiki practitioner, a biomagnetism practitioner as well. And I hope to also do a master's in functional medicine practice. I specialize in Lyme disease, and I also specialize in the gut and lots of other things. I've put my details at the end of the slide for anyone who's interested in contacting me to know more about that. So my Spooky2 story. So I got quite ill with, not quite ill, very ill. I was very ill with Lyme disease. I had Lyme disease and the co-infections, Bartonella, Babesia, Rickettsia, Mycoplasma, I mean, everything, you name it, I had it. As well, alongside mold illness, I had Candida and pathogenic fungus. I had a lot of viruses, Epstein-Barr, herpes, a lot of serious viruses. I had an autoimmune thyroid disease. So I had a lot of stuff going on basically, and I was pretty bedbound, couldn't function. I had about 80 plus symptoms. Lots of neurological symptoms, headaches, ringing in my ears, dizziness, nausea, tingling. I mean, lots of stuff. I had joint pain. Pretty much everything. And I was looking for ways to get better. And I turned to natural medicine because unfortunately, doctors failed me. They didn't know what was wrong with me. I mean, that is a classic story of Lyme patients, isn't it? I'm sure there's quite a lot of you on here today that might have Lyme and have been failed by doctors. So you've turned to alternative medicine. If that's the case, then well done. You're doing the absolute right thing. I tried herbal medicine. I've tried supplements, acupuncture, Chinese medicine. I've tried biomagnetism, I've tried Reiki, I've tried oxygen chamber, I've saunas, everything basically. And I also obviously tried Rife. I got myself a Spooky2 kit, which only included contact mode, because I couldn't at the time afford anything more than contact mode. I had one generator and a pair of TENS pads, and that was about it. Because if you've ever been chronically ill, you know how expensive it is, and you know that you don't have a lot of money. So I'm just saying, it is okay to start with just one generator and one pair of contact pads if you don't have a lot of money, or one generator and one remote. It's fine. You don't need to have the whole thing. So that's what I started with. One of my practitioners actually introduced me to it, and she let me borrow her machine for about a week because I was really skeptical. I didn't know if it was going to work. So I gave it a go for about a week, and already just within that week of using her spooky machine, I saw incredible results in a week. I was mainly using parasite protocols because I knew that I had a lot of parasite problems, and I saw, you know, a lot of stuff come out, and my bloating was getting better. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to get myself a machine, and I religiously used my contact mode for, well, I've had it for about 2 years now. 2 to 3 years I've had it, and I mean, yeah, it completely changed my life. I'm not going to say that it on its own changed my life, because I also used a lot of other stuff, herbs, supplements, etc. So for me, it was a combination, but I know for a fact that Spooky2 Rife really helped, because within a session I would see difference, like certain symptoms I would see would gradually go using the Spooky Rife. For example, I did an intense session, and a couple hours later, so I used my contact mode for about 2 hours one day on the Lyme protocol, and instantly my photosensitivity, so when you look at lights and you can't see bright lights, I mean, I had to wear sunglasses a lot of the time because bright lights really hurt my eyes, and instantly after using that protocol I could actually take my sunglasses off and it didn't hurt. So yeah, I definitely know that it helped. So that leads me on to why I became a Spooky2 trainer. I want to spread the word about how amazing frequency healing is, and help people the way that I have been helped with Spooky2. So that is about me. So now we're just going to have a bit of background information to start with. So where did Rife come from? Who invented it? So Royal Raymond Rife, he was an American inventor, and he discovered what we know today as the Rife machine. So what he did is he used microscopes. As you can see in this picture, he's got a long microscope, and he identified pathogens here underneath. And then what he did is he used beam rays to kill them through vibration or frequency. And he mainly used this for cancer patients, and he had absolutely incredible results. So how does it all work? So the idea is resonance-based shattering. So if you don't quite understand what you want to imagine an opera singer singing, and when she hits that extremely high note, glass can shatter. We all know opera singers shattering glass, and that's basically how it works. Frequencies are the opera singer, and the glass is the organism, the cancer cell, the pathogen shattering. So every living organism has a specific frequency which it resonates at. And if we match this organism's frequency with a Rife frequency, we can shatter that organism. You basically are making it explode and killing it that way. But alongside that, we can also heal. We don't just kill pathogens. We also want to heal our body, detox our body. So we can use healing frequencies, because organs, every organ, every tissue, every cell in our body resonates at a frequency as well. It's not just pathogens. We are frequencies. Everything is frequencies. So what happens with organs when they're not functioning optimally is that their frequency is lower. And what Rife frequencies do is we match the frequency that it optimally functions at and help raise the frequency so that it can optimally function again and detox itself of toxins and all of that. So what can Spooky2 treat? We can treat pathogenic molds, fungus, bacteria, viruses, parasites, all of the nasty guys that cause disease. But for me, as a naturopath, I know that it's not just about the pathogens, it's also about the body. If you have an unhealthy terrain, if your body is not detoxing properly, then you can't get better. You can't just kill pathogens. You need to be detoxing yourself, cleaning your organs, allowing them to function optimally. And this is something that I did very wrong at the beginning of using Spooky2. And I'll explain why. I had my contact mode and I went straight in there with killing the lime, killing the mold, killing the fungus. And I didn't listen to what the advice was of using the terrain. I'll talk about this more later, about all the programs to use and why, but I didn't listen to the advice and use the terrain protocol to start with, which is basically the detox protocol. It sets your body up for killing and it makes sure that you can optimally detox, because people who are sick, we probably aren't detoxing the best. And I didn't do any of that. And I wasn't seeing fast results at first, and I was making myself actually worse until I realized what I actually needed to do was more detox. And that's when things started improving. I've also got a remote story about detox, but I'll talk about that a bit later. So yeah, so important to detox. And it's incredible. It really does work. Okay, so different forms of treatment with Spooky2. So we have the plasma, which you can see here. This is the strongest form of treatment, so it's ideal for things like cancer. And then we have contact mode. So this includes the contact pads, which you can see here. You've also got the hand cylinders, the contact kit, and the internal electrode. So contact mode is quite convenient because you could just stick some pads on and leave them and watch TV or do your work or whatever you want to do. And it's also ideal for biofeedback scans. And then we have remote, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's webinar. And this is different from all of the others because you can treat yourself from a distance. You don't have to be in the same room, in the same country. You can treat yourself from a distance using DNA. So you've also got YouTube audio. So this is quite ideal. And I use this quite a lot before I could afford my Spooky machine. Or if I was on holiday and I couldn't bring my machine with me, you've got audios online. If you just type in Spooky2 audios, they'll come up and you can listen to them at any time. So that's pretty convenient. We then got the PEMF coil, scalar, and the cold laser, but I'm not going to be talking about them today. Okay, so how does Spooky2 Remote work? So the basic idea of it is quantum entanglement. It's simple quantum entanglement. And what Einstein actually called it is spooky action at a distance, which accurately represents it. So we have the idea that we have one particle, we have one molecule, and you split the molecule in two. So for example, you cut your nail off, but you've still got some nail on, but you've also got another bit of nail. So now you've got two molecules. But these molecules act as though they are still connected, even though they are not connected, and they are at complete different locations sometimes. They could be miles apart, but they still act as though they are connected. So, for example, you could turn one molecule green, the other would turn green. You know, they work in that kind of way. You can detox one molecule, the other one will react to what you're detoxing. So you can apply frequencies to DNA at any distance, and it's actually said you can still treat if you're on the moon. So it really doesn't matter how far you are away. So when frequencies are transmitted to DNA, the effects will only be transmitted to the owner of the DNA. So don't worry if you've got your remote on, you've got the DNA in, and you've got other people, other family in the house, it's not going to affect them. It's only going to affect the person whose DNA is in the remote at that time. Okay, so the LED lights, which are these things here. So the LED lights are controlled by frequency, waveform, offset, and amplitude. So a low frequency, which is a 1 Hertz square wave, so that's a 1 second time period, completes one positive to negative cycle every second. So basically what this means is the signal is positive for half a second. So the left LED light will light for half a second. So that light will flash. The signal will immediately then drop from 0 to negative. So the signal is negative for half a second. So the right LED light will flash for half a second. So they'll alternately flash. They will never flash at the same time. They are always alternately flashing. But sometimes it can appear as though both lights are flashing, or they may appear dim, they may appear off, which is absolutely normal. This is because a high frequency is running. And the cycle switches from positive to negative so quickly, this is 1/100th of a second, that the lights, they're not as fast as the generator. They can't keep up. So it might appear like the lights are always on at the same time, or they're really dim, but that's normal. It's just because the lights are just not as fast as the generator. Okay, so what DNA to use for treatment? So you can use fingernail, you can use toenail. These you should replace every month, and you don't need to worry about having nail varnish on because it has no DNA. What you probably don't want to do, I mean, I've got acrylics on, that's not going to be very helpful. So in that case, your toenail is absolutely fine to use. You could also use blood, but you'd have to replace it every 5 to 6 days, so it's not so convenient. You can also use a strand of hair, but you must have the bulb attached. So you can't just take a bit of hair and cut the end. You have to really pluck it from the head and get the bulb attached. And this you need to replace every 2 days. Saliva you can use, but you've got to replace that every 3 days. And buccal skin cells, so you could take a swab of the inside of your mouth, maybe. But you have to replace it every 4 to 5 days. So ultimately, the most convenient is fingernail or toenail. And what you want to do is you want to take your nail. I'm going to show you how to do it, but you want to take your nail, and once you've put it all together, you want to put the date on the sticker so that you know when you've done it and you know when to replace it. But I'll talk about that in a minute. You could also use urine. It doesn't contain DNA, but it might contain pathogens and other things that have been removed from your body. So you might still be killing things. It might also contain epithelial cells, which contain DNA, but most healthy individuals do not excrete epithelial cells in the urine. So urine could be used, but it's not advisable. You're better off using fingernails, toenails, and all of the other options above. Okay, so how to put the DNA samples in. So firstly, you just want to cut some nail, cut some toenail, pluck a hair, get some blood. And then you want to, so with the pack, you'll get some stickers. If you don't have any stickers in your pack, then you could use some tape, probably some normal tape. So once you've cut your nails, you want to just peel off a sticker, set it down on the table, and then you'll get the sample of nail and put the sample of nail on the sticker. Then you're going to get another sticker and put that on top of the sticker with the nail on. You're going to stick them together. So then you'll have 2 pieces stuck together with a bit of nail in between. What you then want to do is you want to grab a pen and you just want to put your name on the sticker, and you want to put the date of when you've done this sample. So again, you know when to change it. For example, you did it on the 17th of March. You'll know to change it on the 17th of April. And then the next step would just be to get your remote, press down here to open it. So there we go. And then you would just put your sample inside like that, and then just shut it. That's all you need to do. And I'll show you how to connect that to the generator in a second. Okay, so how to connect the hardware. So for use with either the Generator X or Generator XM, you need to connect via the Spooky Boost, because this will give you much more power. So I'm just going to show you how to do that. I've got the XM, and this is the Spooky Boost. So you want to connect the XM to out 1 and out 2 with this side, with the 2, not the side with many, with 2, to the out 1 and out 2. So can you see? Out 1 and out 2. Here, and just push them in gently. And then once you've done that, you just want to, sorry, this is quite hard, twist these to make sure, and you'll hear a click, and that's when you know that it's secure. So twist both of them until you hear a click, and then it won't come off, it's secure. You're then going to take your remote and you're going to connect your remote to the BN port. The BN port here. So it's the one nearest the ground, nearest the bottom, the BN port. So just connecting that, sliding it in and doing the same thing, just twisting it until it's secure. So then it won't come off. And that is how you connect it quite simply. You would then connect the USB port here, and I can't quite reach the other cable, but you would then connect this cable here, and then you would just turn the generator on, and that's quite simply what you need to do. Okay, so how to operate software. I'm now going to show you what programs to use, how to operate it, and all of that. So I might just check if there's anyone said anything quickly. Does it work if we don't have DNA and using instead pictures of a person I would like to treat? No, I would use DNA because it doesn't quite work energetically like that. It's more physical with DNA. Will your presentation be available? Yes, I've sent it to Penny. So if you just, I'll put the contact details at the end, so you can email Penny and ask her for it. Cool. Okay, so firstly, you would select a preset. You would then choose a program. You would then click Overwrite Generator. You would then select your generator and click Start. And if the preset already has a program, you just do steps 1, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so programs to use. So first, I'm going to show you how to use the terrain or detox protocol. So this is the protocol that is absolutely recommended when you first get Spooky. And if you're lucky enough to be able to afford a remote and contact mode or something else, then you want to start with the remote, or you can use the remote alongside your contact mode. But yeah, you want to be using the remote for detox 100%. This is what I didn't do, and I regret not doing it. But actually, I've just got a story about it quickly. About a year into treatment, was able to afford a remote machine. So I started using my remote machine on terrain detox, and I quite severely reacted. And I didn't put 2 and 2 together because I thought remote wasn't as strong as contact, which I've been using for ages. I didn't quite put 2 and 2 together that I wasn't feeling very well because of the remote detox program that I was using. So what you're meant to do is you're meant to run the terrain detox for, I think it's 14 days. Each program is a day long, 24 hours, and you run all of them until it finishes, and then you can start again and do the 14 days again. And that's what I was doing. I was running the 14 days and restarting and running it again. And I wasn't feeling well. I was getting really bad back pain, lower back pain. And it was quite bad that I couldn't really go for walks anymore. My boyfriend had to walk the dog. I couldn't do that. It was agony, and I was getting headaches, migraines. I felt really hungover when I woke up, even though I hadn't been drinking. I was getting really bad eczema breakouts, and I didn't put two and two together, so I just carried on, and I was making myself sicker until I finally put two and two together and realized that it started when I started this terrain detox. And obviously what had happened is I'd been doing a lot of killing and not enough detoxing, and my body was trying to catch up, and there was a lot to detox out, and I wasn't giving it a break to sort of catch up. And what I should have done is run one day of the detox, taken maybe 1 or 2 days break, let my body catch up, run the next day, let my body catch up, and carry on that way. I'm now at the stage where I can just completely run the detox. I mean, it runs constantly now. I don't have to turn it off. But back then I was so sick that I really shouldn't have done that, and I should have taken days breaks. It took me about 3 weeks after stopping and realizing and stopping the program for my body to catch up, my eczema to clear, my back pain to go. And after that, I started doing one day, a couple of days break, let my body catch up one day, because you think remote is quite a weak form of treatment, but it's not. It's still very, very powerful. And I mean, it was extremely powerful for me. I had a lot of detoxing to do, a lot of work to do, and it was clearly too much for my body. And that was only using one remote. So what you're actually recommended to do, and I'll show you in a bit, is to use 4 remotes if you're using protocols like the Modulation and Lime protocol. But I was only using one, and I was reacting that way. So the moral of the story is listen to your body and understand when you need to take breaks. Have I woken up feeling a bit more groggy today? Yeah, okay, then maybe I should turn the remote detox program off for a couple of days and let my body catch up. Okay, so just a quick story there. So I'm now going to show you how to use the program. Okay, so to use the terrain protocol for remote, you're going to select here detox. You're then going to select remote, and then you're either going to select terrain in brackets R-BY, or you can select terrain minus mercury. So this could be useful if you've got mercury fillings in your teeth and you don't want the exposure, you don't want the mercury detox, because it could be quite dangerous if you haven't had your fillings removed. Or you could use the non-violent form. But if you want to do the basic terrain, you're going to select here terrain. You're then going to go to control, select overwrite generator, select your generator, and here it comes up with preset 1, remove metals. So as you can see here, there is 15 presets. And what will happen is if you want to run it continuously, after the 24 hours is up, it will then move on to the second preset. You don't have to do anything. You can literally just click start here and it will do it itself. So here you can see it will come up with loading waveform. Just wait for that to load. And here it will start. You'll see the numbers going up. And that's how you know it's working. So again, if you don't want to stop it, you just want to run it continuously, you won't need to do anything. But if you want to pause it, like me, once it says here 24 hours is up, you might want to pause it, or even before that, 12 hours, and you're feeling, oh, I feel a bit groggy, just pause it. And once you feel, okay, I'm ready to continue, you just click start again. That's all you need to do. Another question you might have is, what happens if you might be on, let's say, preset 4 and your computer crashes, like mine did many times? Can I open the software and skip to preset 4? Or do I just have to start right back at preset 1? No, you can skip ahead to preset 4. And what you do is you would come here to where it says preset, and you would just put preset 4, click start, and here it will come up, preset 4, remove systemic toxins, and you just click start. So that's all you need to do. Okay, so the next thing that we can do with with remote is we can do biofeedback scans with Spooky Pulse. Now we can't do the biofeedback scans without Spooky Pulse. We need to record the reactions to the frequencies. So you would put the piece of DNA into the remote, and you would have your Spooky Pulse on your finger or your Spooky ear clips, and you would run it that way. I'll talk about the biofeedback scan in a little bit later. So I'll just show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm just going to let it catch up, because sometimes it can be a bit slow. So biofeedback scans, so you would just go here and select biofeedback, Spooky Pulse, general, and then general purpose full system scan. So exactly the same as what you would do if you were doing a contact pad scan, basically. Go to control, click overwrite generator, select your generator, and you'll see here, general purpose full system scan. And then you would just go to the log name and type in your name and potentially the date. No, it's the 18th. And then you would just click scan. If you want to run biofeedback scan results, then you would go to shell, empty presets, remote, and then you would select killing in brackets R-JW. So what you'll do at the end of a biofeedback scan is you'll save your program. The button will come up and you'll click the save program. You'll type in your name, and then what you can do is you go to programs and you just type in what you've saved it as. And the results will come up here. So you'll just double click that. Go to control, overwrite generator, select your generator. So here we have it killing as the preset, and then your program, which is your biofeedback scan, and you'll just click start. That's all you need to do. With biofeedback scan results, it's recommended to use plasma or contact because remote isn't as powerful and it would take longer to run it. So if you're using plasma or contact, you only need to use the results 5 or 6 times really before you move on to the next scan. But if you're using remote, then you need to use it a lot more. But it's okay, you can still do that. Okay, so the next thing is you could also use the miscellaneous section here. Go to remote. And then you've got a bunch of programs here that you can use, just some additional ones. So for example, if you've got an ear infection, you'll just select ear infection because that's already the program and the preset. So you don't need to go to programs, you just go straight to control. Overwrite generator, select the generator. And here we have an ear infection and all of the programs that come along with the ear infection. Again, you would just click start. Bear in mind, all of this is once the generator is set up. if there's, if you've selected a preset, so you've selected, now let's say, frozen shoulder. Actually, no, let's select hay fever allergy. And there's something in there that you don't want to use. You go to programs. So for example, you don't want to use allergy pollen. You would just double click on it to remove it. You can then go to control, overwrite generator, select your generator. And there we have it. All of the programs that you want to use, and just click start. So yeah, that's just a few additional programs there. You could also use the heal preset. So go to remote. And you've just got a couple of daily wellness programs, multivitamins, you know, feeling well. But if you're using things, let's say the multivitamin and mineral programs, you want to use it once a day. Just run it once, don't loop it. Just run it once and be done with it. You don't want to overdo these, but these are just some daily wellness programs. So immune system stimulation, daily wellness. So you could use that. So the next step we have is we've got some protocols. So we could either use the Modulance and Lyme protocol, or we could use the cancer protocol with remote. For the cancer protocol, it's recommended to use remote alongside plasma or the central. But for Modulance and Lyme, you can just use remote. It's possible. It's not as strong as using Spooky Central or using contact pads, but you can use just remote. And I'm going to show you how to do so. So you select Modulance and Lyme. Modulance and Lyme v3.0. Go to remote. And then here you've got your list. You've got your list of programs. Okay, so I'm just going to get up the document which shows you how to do it. So if you want to download this document, it's here. It's the guide MNL. Click me if you're not sure how to do this. So I'm just going to show you that now, this document. Just a couple of questions. Would you run the terrain protocols first, then do a biofeedback scan? Yes, I would do that. You could do the biofeedback scan first, but I would do the terrain first, because the biofeedback scan, you don't want to skip ahead of the steps, basically, and you don't want to do any killing before you've got your terrain ready for it. When do you use scan versus start? So scan you would only use if you're doing a biofeedback scan, and start you would use if you're doing any program at all, any preset, any program. So scan is only for a biofeedback scan. Is it 1 month from the date the nails were cut? Yes. I mean, personally, I probably do go over a month. I think I use mine up to a month and a half to 2 months. So it's just recommended 1 month from the date that they're cut, because yeah, they just stay the freshest and they haven't degenerated. But to go a bit over, it's okay. But yeah, from the date they're cut. Okay, I think that's it for now. How long would you run the terrain for the first time before the biofeedback scan? So there's 15 presets. As I said, you want to run each preset. So that would take 15 days. For me, for some people shouldn't do that. So it might take you even longer. You could do the first set, which is the metals and chemicals. Then you could take 2 days break. Then you would run the second preset. Then you could take 2 days break. So it might even take you a month, 2 months to a bit longer before you do that. But it's essential. Don't try and skip ahead and just do all the, however long. Do it in order. How do you save your scan? I can't show you because I haven't done a scan, so it won't really work. But basically, once you've clicked scan and you've done your scan, there'll be a program. It will pop up. You'll know exactly what I mean. It will pop up, and it will have a list of frequencies, and it will have a bar at the top where you can type your name in, and then a save button, the one I showed you. You would just click that button. That I'll show you again in a second what that button looks like, but it will come up with a page. You just type your name into the bar, and then you click save. On a percentage basis, how effective is remote versus contact or others? It's all completely effective, believe me. I now, these days, as maintenance, I actually only use remote. I don't really have time for contact or anything else. And I find that it's just as effective. It's less strong. If we're talking in terms of strong and power, I wouldn't know a percentage, but it is less powerful than contact or plasma, but it still works. Believe me, if you're sick enough, it will work just as well. It might just take a bit longer. Just to confirm, you can do a biofeedback scan remotely. The only difference being the healing process will take longer, i.e. if the person cannot be present at all. Yeah, the healing process will take, so if you're running the scan on remote instead of using contact pads or hand cylinders, and then you're using the scan results on remote, it will take a bit longer because you need to use the preset for longer. It's not as powerful, so you use it a couple days more longer than you would with plasma. With plasma, you use, off the top of my head, I think you use the scan results for about 5 days, and then you move on to your next scan. With the remote, it will take a little bit longer than that. I can't remember the exact date, but it will take longer than that. But it's fine. It works powerfully still. Yes, the recording will be up. Okay, right. I'm going to come back to questions in a minute because I could go with this for hours. So I'll come back to that in a minute. So I'm now going to show you how to do the modulins and line protocol using remote. So here we have the document that I just showed you, which was the guide. So I've just opened that up, and here we see remote mode. I've scrolled down. There's lots of other things that you can look at, how to do it with contact mode, how to do it with plasma, but I've scrolled down here to get to remote mode. So there's 2 ways to do the modulins and line protocol. We can use method A or we can use method B. So method A, it takes longer, but it puts the emphasis on effectiveness by running multiple instances of the same preset at the same time. So you're running the same program on 4 different generators, but you start generators 5 minutes after each other, so they're not running at the complete same time. With method B, you're running different programs, so it's quicker. So you'll be running program A, program B, program C. So it takes quicker, but it's not as effective, some may say. Okay, so this is method A. I'll show you in a second, but if you're not doing biofeedback scans, you need to result your scan results CUS program from each preset. So this will be from preset 5 and onwards, and I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. But to start with, so run 4 hours we have here, and that's just how long you're going to run the presets. If you're not doing a biofeedback scan and you get to programs like program 5, it will say 160 hours, but you'll deduct 20 hours of that, so it'll become 140 hours. But if you're running the scan results, you'll keep it to 160 hours. Okay, so we have generator 1, generator 2, generator 3, and generator 4. So again, it's recommended to use 4 generators. This is if you're just using remote for your modulins and line protocol. I mean, personally, I only have 1 remote, can't afford more. So I only use 1 generator. I find that's actually strong enough for me. So again, if you're really sick, You might even want to just start with 1 generator instead of 4, because I find that pretty intense. But if you feel like you're ready for it, you feel like you're ready to do 4 generators. So as I was saying, we were running the metals and chemicals on all of the generators. So we got to the stage of selecting metals and chemicals. You then go to settings and type run for 90 hours. You then go to control, overwrites generator, select the generator that you want to use, and you'll click start. It'll come up with loading waveforms. And there we go. Now it's running. You can see the time is going up. So you'll just let that keep going, but I'm just going to stop it for showing examples, but you'll just let that keep running. And then you're going to, again, go back to presets, select metals and chemicals again. Again, go to settings, select run for 90 hours. But this time, it's going to start in 5 minutes, because you want it to start 5 minutes after generator 1. Settings, control, overwrites generator, select. So you probably have a list of 4 generators, and you'll select the next generator that you want to use, and you'll click start. But you'll see it's come up as yellow with a countdown here, because that means it's going to start in 5 minutes. And once that 5 minutes is up, it will go green, which means it's running. Again, same for preset for generator number 3. You're going to go to and select metals and chemicals, settings, run for 90 hours, start in 10 minutes, because it needs to be 10 minutes after the first generator now, so 5 minutes after the previous one, which hasn't even started yet. So you keep adding 5 minutes. Control, overwrite generation. By now you're going to be selecting the 3rd generator, which might be here. Again, same process. Start. And again, it's gone yellow with a countdown. And again, for the 4th generator, same metals and chemicals, settings, run for 90 hours, start in, now you're going to start it in 15 minutes. Now, these are just rough timing. So you might be like, oh, it's not 15 now. It'll probably be like 13 because it's been running for a while. It doesn't matter. It's rough. It's just an estimate. Control, overwrites generator, select your 4th generator, and again, start, and there'll be a countdown here. So there we go. And then what you'll do is you'll just leave that running until it's finished the 90 hours. And then you'll do the whole process with system detox. So you'll keep going down and down. Now, it's slightly different for immunomodulators, because here we have, it says your scan results. So if you are using your scan results, I'll show you what to do. So you're going to double click that. You're going to go to programs, and you'll see here the list of programs. So you've got your scan results here at the bottom. You just don't want to double click that. And instead, you're going to type in your program. And you've got the results. Double click that. And there we go. It will be at the bottom, your scan results. And you'll just go to settings. You'll run it for 160 hours. Go to control, overwrites generator, select the 1st generator. And you'll click start. So there we go. It's gone green and it's all running. You've got your scan results at the bottom. And you let that run for 24 hours. Again, you would just keep repeating the process as I did before. So again, going back, settings, run for 90 hours, and you want to start it in 5 minutes. Overwrites generator, and then you select the second generator. And again, click start. And the countdown will begin. And again, you do that for the third and fourth, putting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, as I did previously. Now, what do you do if you're not doing scan results? You're not doing a biofeedback scan. So you would have loaded the programs and you would have double clicked where it said your scan results. You would have got rid of that. So now there's nothing there. There's no scan results, and that's fine. You just now need to run the program for 140 hours instead of 160. You minus 20 hours for that program. But it's the same process, just with 140 hours. And there we go. You're running the program without the scan results. And you would do that on all of the generators. The only exception here is I'll just go back to the program to show you. So you can see here that generator 1, generator 2, and generator 3 are all using immunomodulator program, apart from generator 4, which is using all maintenance program. So for that one, you can just start that whenever. I'm going to show you how to run that. So instead of clicking on the presets tab, instead of clicking immunomodulators, you'll click all maintenance. And it will just keep running. You don't need to worry about putting a time in. It will just keep running. So until it's finished. Overwrites generator. And this will be the fourth generator, remember, and start. And that will just keep running until it's done. And that's exactly how you do the Modulance and Line protocol. Okay, so is my remote working? So to test if your remote is working, you need to test the output, and no DNA is required for this. So what you would do is you would open the software, you would select miscellaneous, and then generate a signal test. So once the generator is all connected, you would select miscellaneous and then generate a signal test. Then you would just go to control and select overwrite generator, select the generator that you're using and click start. So the whole process of what I've just shown you previously of the selecting the generator and clicking start. So the LED lights, these lights should flash 4 times per second if it's working. If it doesn't flash 4 times per second, then there might be a fault and you need to fiddle about with it and double check. And here at the bottom, I've just put some pictures of what I showed you earlier of putting the nail in between the stickers, sticking together and writing your name and date should be there, putting inside the remote and closing the remote. So many different fingernails can be used in one remote device at the same time, but it's best to keep them separate with stickers. You don't want to be mixing DNA. But subsequent treatments should be for individuals, not for a group. So, for example, you can use multiple DNA at the same time in a remote for the terrain detox protocol. But say if I've got back pain, I probably just want to use that remote for the back pain for me at that specific time. Using thick sticky tape to put the nails in doesn't matter. The frequencies penetrate thick tape. So it can be thick, it can be thin, it's fine. While remote tends to run for 24 hours, you want to keep individual programs to 4 hours or less for a single pass, and then you can run this on repeat for 24/7 for at least 120 loops. So to repeat a program non-stop, you would want to set the repeat chain value in Spooky2 to 0. And DNA samples can be tiny, so you could literally just file a tiny bit of nail. You don't even have to cut it, you can just file a bit. It can be really small and it will still work. You want to avoid treating children younger than 7, but if it's unavoidable, make sure there's no adverse effects. So you'd want to keep asking them, are you okay? How are you feeling? Are there any symptoms? Just make sure that everything is working smoothly. And you'd want to use gentle healing programs only. Avoid using killing programs. Zero collateral damage can be caused, and remote is safe to use 24/7. However, again, as my story showed, you want to monitor the body. It wasn't harming me, but it was making me not feel very well because I was detoxing too much at once. So if you feel symptomatic, stop the treatment for a few days, let the body catch up. Animals and plants can be treated with remote. Again, go easy and monitor thoroughly. So you want to check that your animal's feeling okay. Do they have energy today? Do they have a bad stomach? Are they feeling okay? But for animals and plants, it is actually the preferred method of using. You want to avoid using on pregnant women as well, because the babies do have a portion of the mother's DNA, so it might affect them. There's not much scientific evidence that it does or it doesn't, but it might, so you want to avoid that. Okay, so lastly, just talking about sample digitizer versus remote. They do look similar, but sample digitizer has this bit on the end here that makes it look different. So both sample digitizer and remote can be used for biofeedback scans. Using Generator X, sample digitizer can be used for direct scanning. No speaker pulse required, direct scanning with biological samples. So you can put urine in, you can put saliva in, you can put blood in. And the results of the scan are usually quite accurate because of the high rate of pathogens that are in the sample. And some say it's actually better suited than 10 scans for finding pathogens in your body. Whereas the Spooky2 Remote can only be used to deliver the frequencies to your body, but you need a spooky pulse on to detect your heart rate and how you're reacting. Sample digitizer can automatically send the resultant frequencies from the scan to your body. So you could do hunt and kill. So you can use the scan and the treatment in the same go. However, treatments are not that efficient, so it's recommended to use plasma, contact mode, or remote to run scan results. But again, are probably recommended to use plasma or contact mode because they are quicker and stronger. But remote is fine to run scan results. Okay, thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to end that there. Thank you.